From months ago.
We woke up last session, getting ourselves ready to go out to travel the mountains. And I think we spent half the time figuring out what we needed to do to get prepped. And then we took off for the mountains, and a bunch of stuff happened, and then beanie weenies over campfire, and that's about all I can remember.
We're looking for Sir Idian.
Sir Idian?
Sir Idian in the Northeast Mountains.
I think it like Ceridian is all one word.
Not in my head. You can't tell me what Apoc thinks.
And this is supposed to be like the leader of the bandits, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So day 3, we're on the edge of the forest now.
Yes.
Mhm.
We ended it with like a big tree climbing experience where we then saw like how far we are. And so we know the direction we need to go, I believe, because I think we spotted like a smoke trail from like a fire or something.
So what was the goal? Like when we get to the mountains and we meet with Ceridian, what are we gonna tell them?
I think it's like the not magistrate, the bird folk from Eldar, one of the council members.
Oh, the one that I didn't get along with.
Yes, she asked us to see if we could reach some type of peaceful terms with them to kind of end the robberies and things like that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we were all on the same page of what the goal was.
Mm-hmm. We're going to kill them all. No.
Yeah. I also have in my notes that if they wanted to meet, we could arrange something in Bracken Mill. Peaceful negotiations.
Also, after rewatching the last session, there was a huge kind of confession from Cam to Basil about his sister Peppermint.
These are my confessions.
And potentially once all this stuff is done in the mountains, possibly going to search for Peppermint. Yeah.
I'm surprised that there was so much memory of that, but yes, the VODs do help, and those pictures are really cute.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have one. Put in timestamps of scenes that you like. I can go back and add the cards in later. So
cool.
Oh,
there you go.
You can do that?
What do you mean?
So comment with a timestamp, and I can add them into the cards so you can jump around to them.
Right.
We can like insert chapters. You know?
Yeah.
That's cool. Very cool. Okay, good to know. There are some funny parts that I always wish I can go back to.
If you want a quick reference, just drop the comment, and then I'll put the card in.
Which I realize I am logged in on YouTube, just FYI, that I didn't know I was logged in. But here we are, and apparently I'm logged in on YouTube.
Well, there you go.
I don't remember making an account, but...
You have a Gmail account.
I know, but I don't remember ever logging into YouTube. So here we are.
Is it the same account?
Yeah, I think so now.
I don't remember hitting the sign-in button, you know? Like, I always just go on YouTube. But, you know,
All right, so I think that's our memory.
Awesome. The only correction is you're actually on day 4. Not day 3.
Oh, and we also
ended day 3.
You ended day 3, you woke up, you had the race, and that was the beginning of day 4.
Okay. And we needed to report back via that scroll thing. After how many days? Remember?
Don't matter. We'll get it done.
Okay.
What were you gonna say, Eric?
I was gonna say we also leveled up, right? We're level 4.
Liar. No. You're all level 4, but you're not farther than level 4.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Oh, okay. I thought you said level 5. No, you're all level 4.
All right.
Yeah. pretty much pick up like right after the race up the giant redwood trees has finished. Dace being the ultimate leader, seeing kind of where you guys are going. The edge of the forest, the plains out towards the mountains, and then finally the mountains themselves, where the peaks seemed so tall that they just disappeared into the cloud cover. And Dace, I believe, Batman, Basil down to the ground. Yeah, and you just started keep on keeping on one more time at the beginning of day 4. And you estimated from being able to look out over the plains that, you know, as long as you have some favorable weather and as long as you're able to make it out of the underbrush of this forest with Elle's help, definitely giving you that little extra boost and you're not delayed by difficult terrain, you should be able to reach close to the base of the mountains before the dawn of the 5th day. I think that's from a movie somewhere. So as you all reconvene at the bottom of the trees and start to set out one more time on the morning of your 4th day, I do need a adventure roll from someone.
What's the roll?
Anything happens. It's just a D20.
Do it, Andrew.
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to say, while we're traveling this entire time, knowing that we're getting so close to the mountains, Apoc is just like losing his shit, telling you guys about all of this stuff that he read in books, like how much he loves the mountains and has been waiting for this moment.
I rolled a 10.
We did that one last time. Roll again.
14.
Maybe that's one where nothing happens. We skip a day. Damn it.
All right. As you are walking, the trees are starting to thin out a little bit because you are approaching the edge of Humblewood. Elderheart is pretty much in the middle of the, I'm going to call it urbanized part of the wood. So where the majority of the cities are. There's a lot of uncharted territory outside the cities, particularly to the west, so beyond the caves, beyond the mock fields. But here you're going north where things are starting to get sparse the closer you are to the mountains and the more inclement the weather is starting to get. And as you are walking during the day, listening to the critters and everything, like listening to Apoc chatter nonstop, with the exception of just some fog that kind of starts to seep down through the canopy as the day gets later, your day goes by uneventfully. And you are able to make it out of the forest and starting onto the plains. That's how kind of close you were to the edge of the forest. By the time stop me if you want to do anything.
I think I would just be chattering, like encouraging Apoc to like tell more stories. Yeah. To the point where like his voice is getting hurt, like just like nonstop talking.
Losing it.
Yeah.
You just gotta like drink a little coffee. Good to go.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta have my morning sip, right?
What's your highlight of the mountains? Like, what do you want to see while we're there?
I read about this peak. It's called Peak Mountain Peak. And it's got this beautiful view of the ocean. That's like, I mean, if we can get there, if we can get to Peak Mountain Peak, I'd be so happy.
Is there like a smaller peak next to it?
Yeah, it's called Little Peak Peak.
Okay.
Do you want to go there too?
Yeah, I totally would want to explore that. part of the sneak peek ridge.
Well, I mean, some people get a sneak peek.
Okay.
You read the book.
I steal the book.
What's it called? Peak Mountain Peak?
Yeah,
How do you spell it?
Whatever you want.
Little peak.
Peak Mountain Peak and then Little Peak.
But like
Cam just grabs the book out of Apoc's hand and it says, "Would you like to take a peek?" That's the title of it.
Okay, go.
Actually,
So we got
the
peak.
book you're able the book you're able to grab out of Apoc's hand is the copy of the history of Humblewood in Greater Cambria that is in somebody's inventory from ages
I
ago.
think it's actually a mine.
That explains all about the Crest Mountains with some scribbles from that same handwritten journal that you found. So it definitely is a used copy, but you're able to read all about.
Yeah, it's definitely in my inventory. So
I don't know which of these peaks I spelled right.
we got Peak Mountain and Little Peak Mountain, so it forms the Twin Peaks.
Ooh, I like it.
Anyways, as this chapter is going on, I don't know what Basil and Mrs. Q are doing at this time, if they're listening and engaging or trying desperately to ignore. By the late afternoon, early evening, you exit the forest. And it kind of almost comes as a bit of a shock, as the trees did not get any smaller. They just kind of end at the edge.
Mm.
And it's not like the swamp where it was more just like a thinning of the trees when you approach the edge of it. It was just, they were very tall, very tall, very tall. And then you just took one more step and exited the canopy, exited the brush, and found yourself staring out right at the edge of the forest across open plains. And Apoc, I guess everybody except for Dace and Mrs. Q gets their very first look at the Crest Mountains. From this vantage point, the fog kind of hanging low, it's almost hard to make out because it's just a shadow for right now, with some jagged lines along the sides. You're kind of looking, trying to see, craning your neck to look at a peak. And then you finally realize that the base of these mountains are so massive that you cannot see the peaks from the ground.
Wow. Okay.
And the more you look, now that you know what you're looking at, you can see them traveling to the east and to the north and to the southeast of you. And there is no end in sight either way from where you exited the canopy. And what lies before you is open plain. It seems to kind of almost move and sway like a wave as the wind kind of ripples through this extremely tall grass. It's not like the swamp here where the vegetation was so rich, the soil was so rich that could support very, very green moss life. This is more prairie, a little bit yellowy green as opposed to the deep greens you're used to.
Mm.
And taking one more step out of you start to notice that the grass is already at knee height. It looks like it might get taller or shorter in some places, but as far as you can see, it is more of a grassland, a cool grassland. It is closer to early evening, so around the 5 o'clock point, and you have this massive plain out in front of you.
We're in Alberta.
Yeah, but not the fun part.
No.
Do we get a sense of how long it might take us to get through these plains?
So it's a little deceiving because the mountains are so big. You know that the speaker has told you that it will take about 5 days to get to the mountains. You know the general area of where the bandits are located because you have that map with you that the speaker gave you. I think Camembert has the map. However, you don't know quite what you're looking for, and at this distance, it's you can't quite see, a road, for example. But go ahead and give me a survival check, Basil. Actually, everyone can take a survival check.
It's 22.
23.
Woo!
Yeah. And Cam, I saw a 6. So Basil and Mrs. Q, Basil being one of the ones who made it to the top of the tree with Dace. Mrs. Q, just from your innate ability and your oneness with the natural world, in a sense, you can see where the grass seems to be a little shorter, actually seems to form a path. And you assume that this is probably where the bandits came walking through. You know that the bandits were about like a day or 12 hours ahead of you. That's how you were following them through the forest, more or less, this whole time. They had a whole night while you rested to make distance away from Elderheart. And Basil, you remember from being up in the tree with Dace that the smoke kind of that you saw, it was hard to place specifically, but it looked more or less like could it be around the halfway point. So, the whole plains could take about a day to cross, and then you would just end up at the foot of the mountain, or you might be able to make a little dent in that and shorten the time so you have a chance to look around the base of the mountain tomorrow.
Okay, interesting. And I'm guessing when you say that like this path that the shorter grass is kind of like paving out, is it like it's cut shorter grass, or it's a path because the grass has been trampled on?
So it's been trampled on and it just hasn't sprung back up yet.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But with like a 22 and 23 survival, that's pretty darn good. So
Okay. Playing off of what happened last session, I'll say Sir Basil goes up to the trampled grass and he's all just like calling the team over, like, oh, look at this, the grass has been trampled on. Like, this is a path that the bandits took. We're on their tail. Let's see what
I like to think that Mrs. Quillam, that was the look she was giving Basil as.
Do you guys want to push through the night? Make it to the mountains?
I think if we want to catch up to these bandits, we might have to push through.
Yeah, I just worry about running into them on less energy than possible. But if the consensus is going, like, I just don't want to get caught on the wrong foot against folks that don't really seem to play nice in the sandbox.
Yeah.
It seems unlikely that we would meet with them before the end of the night if they're also moving. Mrs. Q turns to Cam and asks him to pull up the map.
And you see this like hovering illusory image of the map in 3D.
So great. And she's looking to see how far the prairie land looks to be, like how big it seems, or if there's a natural stopping point or a natural camping point between here and the start of the mountain.
Question: is your map like when you make it appear? Is it transparent?
Yeah, so like I'm using minor illusion to recreate the map that I've studied. So
Okay.
like I make it look like a translucent with a little pinpoint of us just like glowing, and then like try to make it 3D. There's not much more information in the map that was actually handed to us because that's what I used to reference. And I don't even know if the spot where I'm lighting up ourselves is accurate. I'm just like taking a rough guess as it just like hovers, and then like I can move it around so like you can spin it or like zoom in on locations as like say Miss Quillam is talking about it. I'll zoom in on those spots to just help with the conversation.
I can imagine. The way I picture it is like maybe for you to be holding it up to Mrs. Q, probably you're holding it at a certain height. So Sir Basil kind of like walks underneath it and like points upward, saying like, if we're here, I believe the smoke trail we saw was in this area, and points like upward on the map.
Love it.
You know what? If we can get there tonight, it'd be so much better to sleep at the mountains than it would be in like this weird grass field. Like,
I'll give you one thing, Mrs. Q. I'll just let your survival of 23 roll. This is something I kind of forgot.
Yeah.
Not so much the detail of the map, although you can kind of see, like, it doesn't look like a big thing, but it's quite a distance that you're looking at in front of you.
Okay.
I'm going to describe it kind of like a savanna. So tall grasses with like very low lying trees every so often, very interspersed, very few and far between. The straightest path that you're looking at, so what Basil assumes where the bandits took, there are no trees. However, looking to the left and right, you can see that, a stopping point is kind of hard to tell distance, but there are like some low kind of bushy trees that you can sort of see amid the fog. It looks like you might be able to make it there. You can't put a 500 meters kind of distance to it.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for cover, it's just not on the straightest path to the mountain. It's veered a little off to either side.
Okay. Mrs. Q looks at the gang and sort of points at the map and says that if we keep going and don't get as far as we want to, then we could veer off track a little and have a place to camp. So my vote is to keep going.
Yeah. Do it. Push on.
All right.
But how do you feel?
I concur.
All right.
Push on.
All right.
Has anyone been here before?
To where?
Here, the mountains.
Yeah,
You've been to the mountains?
I'm from the mountains. Mountain Man.
I thought you were by our town.
Oh, that's where I've lived for many years.
Miss Q, you're full of surprises.
This is cute.
Oh, shucks.
Oh. Okay, well, show us the way.
Oh my.
Okay.
Okay.
Q, this is the opposite end of the mountains you used to live by. Just as an FYI.
I'm gonna start moving forward in the direction that we want to go,
Just follow-
purely based on what I saw in the map and
Or
not
just-
because I know anything
or
about
just
where we're
following the
going.
path.
Yeah, I'm 100% just making it up. It's fine. Yes.
Okay.
So as you all move forward, following the very little footsteps of Mrs. Q, I'm going to say that Elle is with you just to kind of, again, make it a little easier, since she's quite good at ignoring difficult terrain, which is annoying, but here we are. You're able to push onward. So it was about like dinner time when you stopped to kind of make this decision.
Hey, there's Elle.
Just as we were mentioning her.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Steph?
Eric's got to fix his VOD now.
Yeah.
Gotta fix all the VOD. You gotta warn me before you come in like that. Coming in hot.
We'll give it like a couple minutes, guys. Give me-
Yeah.
give us a second.
Yeah.
Steph said she was having some issues with her text, so.
Gotcha.
So we're
Just
just
kind of turning it off and on again. Sorry, Eric. That was the exact same time.
that was it. I'm gonna say we are decidedly running into the long grass.
Yes.
Okay.
Nothing bad will happen here.
Hope you like snakes. No, we can't hear you.
Yes, we can.
No, we cannot hear you, Steph.
Make sure your device settings are proper.
Make sure you selected the right mic.
Oh,
I heard something. As Elle is sorting that out, being very good at picking out the difficult terrain in the grassland, you are crossing into the mountains now. I think she can hear me.
Thanks.
Hey, we can hear
Can you
you.
hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey!
Hey.
Welcome.
We cannot see you.
No, I know.
Okay.
I am here. I'm right
Oh, there you
here.
go.
There we go.
Hey.
I'm just running around. Oh, I'm really close also.
Yeah.
No problem, Steph. I know you just got in from a drive, so like take a second if you need.
Yeah.
The only thing
It's a
you know.
9-hour drive.
Yikes.
Yikes, indeed.
Oh.
We're in an Ontario construction.
How many hours?
9?
Oh,
Do that in my
Yeah.
sleep.
That face, honey.
that's a lot of hours.
Okay, we came back. We're about to fight snakes.
No.
It's mostly snakes from here on out.
No.
Okay.
No.
You are currently inside a snake, and we're fighting to get you out of
Oh,
this.
no.
For you, yes.
You made it to the edge of the forest, no problem. It's closer to dinner time. You just stepped out to kind of walk across the plains towards the Crest Mountains. So you're making your way that way, but you are in grassland. The best way I can describe it is like a savanna. So taller grass around knee-thigh height, some trees here and there, but very few and far between. And you're so used to the like oppressiveness of the forest that now that you're in this grassland, it is very exposed compared to what all of you have been used to over the past 4 days. However, as you take the step out following Mrs. Q, the hours start to tick by, and the enormity of these mountains makes it seem that you have not moved at all. They don't seem to be getting any bigger, any faster because they're already so big from your perspective. You are very close and very far at the same time, but they are huge. Craning your neck as the night starts to get a little darker and the fog kind of starts to lift, you can see that even though you can start to see clouds to the south of you, the mountains in front, or sorry, stars to the south of you with some clearing cloud cover, you can still not see the peaks. They're just, it's huge, it's massive. As you continue to push on, you're able to make it, another 5 hours, 6 hours to about 10, 11 o'clock at night. And the only way you know you've made it far is by turning around and looking at the forest behind you, which the trees are huge and towering, but not to the extent of the mountains. It looks like you may have chipped away, about a third of this plain. So you are currently kind of like right in the middle, not right in the middle, but a third into this plain with the trees behind you and likely another, 8 to 10 hour trek in front of you before you get to the base of the mountain.
So far with the path we've walked, would we have seen any other signs of like that the bandits, like maybe they dropped something, or would we have spotted like their original campsite, like where the fire was or anything like that?
I'll let your survival check roll, because again, you did kind of see it from the mountain or from the tree that you were up, and you rolled quite high on your survival, continuing to keep a lookout. You didn't quite see where their camp is, but the darker it got, like the harder it became to kind of stay on the trail. And you took your first steps out when it was evening, so it started getting to a little darker a little earlier. So whether they veered off, whether they stayed straight, whether you just haven't made it there because you weren't 100% sure where it was and how far they made it, that's kind of a little bit of a question mark.
This is cute. Can you still see those trees?
Can I?
You can go ahead and make a perception check. Everyone can make a perception check.
17 for me.
Disadvantage if you don't have dark vision.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't think I do actually.
Where does it say that?
So under senses.
Senses.
So passive perception, passive investigation.
Elle got a 16, but I don't know what my bonus is, and I do have dark vision. I just can't get D&D Beyond to load.
I'll look real quick.
Okay.
You
I
got-
can pull
have
it up. I can pull it up.
Okay.
So
you
it's
pull it up.
16.
You
on
can
the
look.
die.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab my tab.
Okay. Disadvantage for me. I do not have dark vision, which
Okay.
is surprising because hedgehogs are nocturnal animals and also live underground.
Oh.
Yeah, but the cataracts counteract it.
This is my world. Hedgehogs are not nocturnal. I'm kidding. All right. So Elle got an 18. Did anyone get
I got a 15.
15? Okay, great. So Elle and
Great.
what did you get?
13.
13. Yeah, okay. So Elle, Basil, and Apoc, with your dark vision, you're able to scan the two horizons to the north and to the south-ish, relatively southeast. And the closest tree that you see seems to be to the north. You don't actually see the tree per se, but you do see the dark outline of the tree against like the bluey black of the sky. So it's shadow against shadow pretty much. You can see it. It's a little hard to tell the distance. Your dark vision does go 60 feet. You're able to see this outline, just not in any detail.
Mine goes 120 feet.
Oh,
Okay.
it's still a little farther than that, but you can still see it.
I love that the guy who's probably grass height
Yeah.
is the best sight on this thing.
I am
Dace-
just picturing his tail up above the grass, but we
Yeah.
can't see him.
Yeah.
That's
They
what I'm-
will like
I'm
put you
about-
on his shoulders.
Yeah, I would just climb up on Dace and be like looking up.
Yeah,
Get a better vantage point.
that's happened before. But yeah, you can see that that's the closest tree. And that it's like directly north of you, which means you're kind of still walking towards the mountain, but like, you know, the mountains are kind of a curve almost. You're here, you're walking straight north, which means you're going still towards the mountains, just not on the straightest path to said mountains.
Mhm. Okay. And why do we want to know this?
Well, so it depends if you want to make camp and you want to make it by like a copse of trees, then we can plan to do that. Alternatively, we just flatten a little circle of grass here and camp in the grass.
Hmm.
I can do that too.
Yeah, like that's fine. And if we decide to do that, then I'll make Dace do it. I'll make him just lay down and like roll back and forth to smush the grass.
And Dace's game.
Is that what the team would like to do?
It saves us going off course if
Sorry, so camping out.
in the grass, as opposed to going to find a tree.
So as you say that, Mrs. Q, and it seems like the group has decided. Steph, are you good? Can you hear us and everything still?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna eat some pizza though, so
Go for it.
I'm going on mute.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
fine.
don't have to listen to that.
Okay. All right, so as Dace rolls around, pats down some grass for you right in the middle of the grassy field, and you go ahead and make camp for the night. It is a little bit later. So like by the time Dace has kind of done that, you're going on like 11:30, midnight-ish. Mrs. Q, what's for dinner?
Tonight is let's see, because I know I was trying to work with the rations that we have. Mrs. Q makes sausage rolls.
Perfect.
Not like a sausage in a roll, like sausage rolls with where you like wrap it in pastry.
That's the meta version.
Cool.
All right.
Picking a blanket.
Yeah.
No, it's a sausage roll.
So it's like bigger.
Are you sure you want to eat a pig in a blanket?
I don't know. It's kind of like, what's the meat from?
I don't think it's boar if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit concerned.
It's boar in a quilt.
Oh,
Hey.
or in a bedroll.
Or to bedroll.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe that's what I'll name my next blog.
Ooh. It would be fitting.
Tales from the Savannah, born a bedroll. I like it.
All right. So with tummies full, I do need some watches tonight for no reason.
Mrs. Q offers to take the first watch.
Yeah, I can join you, Mrs. Q.
All right.
I'll take second.
Do we need like how many watches? would
You
we
need 3 watches.
Okay. Sure, I'll join.
Okay.
All right. And we're leaving the 12-year-old
12-year-old will watch in the morning.
and Dace. I'll roll for Dace.
Okay.
All right, so Mrs. Q and Cam, as everyone is going off to sleep and curling up, I will need some perception checks from you.
Okay.
Well, are they going to be at disadvantage because I am blind in the dark?
Yes.
Oh, we didn't split up the dark vision, people.
Do both of you not have dark vision?
Yep, 100%.
Are you serious? Oh,
This is such a bad idea.
why? Would we have
I
made
didn't
it?
think about that.
Would we have made
Oh,
it?
it's too late.
You put all the exhausted people together last time, so I see nothing wrong with this at
Oh,
all.
man.
15.
Right?
With disadvantage, I got 15.
That's
Wow,
what-
that's good. I have 6.
all right, so Cam, Mrs. Q, as your watch goes, Mrs. Q, you're kind of tending the fire a little bit more. Cam being his meerkat kind of self, keeping watch, keeping a lookout. You don't, the sounds here are weird. Like they're not your forest sounds because you are in a different ecosystem with some different critters going on here. You do hear things that sound more like slithering. You do hear far more crickets than in the forest before. And the grass it doesn't take much for the grass to make a rustling sound, whether it's a little breeze or like a little mouse that has moved through the floor of this prairie. It's kind of keeping you a little bit on edge. And although your watch does go through all right, it is a stressful watch for you. Just the variety that you're seeing here. Is there anything you guys would like to do on your watch?
Mrs. Q burnt the sausages on her pan and spends most of the night trying to get off the bed.
Wow.
I think I'll help try to clean them up, magically, of course. As I'm chatting, it's like, so, Mrs. Quillam, you said you've been to the mountains before. How long has it been since you've been back?
Is this where you reveal your age?
I was a young hedge when I left the mountains, and I haven't been back since.
Well, why not?
Oh, you know, I had my radishes to tend to. There was never a good time.
Never a good time, I guess. You excited?
Yes, the air always feels very clean around the mountains.
Well, I look forward to seeing you in your element.
We shall see. It's been a very long time.
Is there
I'm not
anybody?
as I look.
Do you think there's anybody you know that'll be there? I'm sure there's more Quillams. If me to guess that they all live as long as you do.
Ooh.
I think it's unlikely, but I certainly would welcome it if it happened.
I got one last thing. I'm gonna throw this out there. So I was up late last night thinking about it. But what if we called ourselves the Goodberries?
Oh,
Because you're always trying to make us good berries, and then you do make us good berries. It's a double entendre.
I think you're all very good berries without me. I love that name.
Oh, we'll try and do better. Anyways, it's getting late. I should probably wake up Apoc and Sir Basil.
As Cam gets up, Mrs. Q sort of like gets up as well and like fixes her skirt. And as the next two come over, she pulls 2 cookies out of her apron, gives it to the next watch, and then goes to bed.
Just sit down and start nibbling on a cookie.
All right. So Basil and Apoc, your roles, please.
Ooh, that's a terrible roll.
Yep.
6.
That one.
Oh,
Wow.
what do you guys want to do on your watch?
You want some of this? I just like hold out the flask.
So Basil looks at it kind of reluctantly and says, "Why not?" And goes for it.
You take a swig?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get coffee.
This is my favorite item.
And Apoc goes to take a swig too, and coffee still comes out. Oh man, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Hmm.
You been out here before?
No, this is a first for me. You can see Basil's just kind of like trying to admire just like how big the mountain is compared to him. He's like so tiny.
Yeah. Stars above. It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Mm.
I imagine we're not even keeping watch. We're just like so enthralled by everything, and that's why we saw nothing in this like whatever period it was.
Yeah. You are not bothered by the sounds around you. And now that the cloud cover has cleared away, yes, you see the stars, and all you see are massive blocks of black that take up the sky where you imagine the mountain peak would be. There is no moonlight at this point in time, so you don't actually see any detail of it. It's just blocking out the stars from view.
Mm. So Basil's maybe like he's like holding out his sword and trying to like trace the outline of the mountain, trying to like just get an idea of like how big and vast it could be.
I have a question for you. Where do you, I mean, I hope this doesn't sound rude, but for a little guy like you, where do you get your strength from?
So Basil kind of puts his sword down and says, my strength comes from, oh shoot, what's his name? What's that small god? Gaspard, yes. My strength comes from Gaspard. He gives me strength when I'm weak, and he showed me what it meant to be a small but mighty warrior.
Have you met him?
No one's met Gaspard before, but
Nobody?
he's been there in my prayers and giving me strength when I needed it.
And that's how you go big as well.
You see him kind of fumble, like, well, maybe there's some other things there, but yeah, it's Gaspard like gives me that strength, and then you see him kind of like in the dirt with his sword, kind of like depicting like what Gaspar looks like, or what he thinks Gaspar looks like, and like then there's a picture of him being all like Hulk, big and things like that.
Yeah. Man, that's so cool. I love it when you like I've never seen that before. Like that blows my mind every time it happens. So cool.
Mm.
All right. As this conversation is going on, and you are just facing the mountain, not quite paying attention to everything that's around you, you hear it almost too late.
Okay.
There are kind of like incessant cricket sounds, like cicadas is the word I'm looking for. So there's this constant kind of buzz. And you don't notice that buzz has changed until it has gotten so loud that it sounds almost like a roar in your ears.
Mm-hmm.
And you both, being the ones awake, feel mist on the back of your neck. And you, now that you're paying attention to it a little more, you're in the middle of plains, but the sound you're hearing, this incessant kind of roaring, sounds like a raging waterfall. And as you get up to look around, you see something moving all too fast towards you from the north. So from plain.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
You say that just in time for everyone to wake up and be absolutely throttled by a massive tidal wave that seems to have come out of nowhere. I am going to need strength saving throws from everybody, unless you are doing something else to help you with this, as the water slams in.
Ooh, okay.
Nope, there's nothing. I was like, I'm sure there's something I can do.
Yeah, like is there?
Nope.
Nope.
I'll roll for Dace.
I don't think there's anything I can do.
I mean, I'm trying to think of something, but I don't know if I would react in time to do this.
Yeah, you have like a reaction at best kind of situation before this wall of water hits you.
Rather than try to get like brace for the impact, knowing that I'm not going to be able to do it, can I like dive to try and grab Elle, the 12-year-old, just to make sure that if we do get washed away, we don't lose her?
Sure, yeah. So just like a bear hug?
Whatever I can do. I'm not fussy. I'm just trying to make like a link so we don't let her wash away.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So I'm still gonna say, like, as this water hits you, it'll be a lower DC because you're just trying to hold on to her instead of trying to hold yourself down. And Elle, if you're gonna help with this, then like one of you can take advantage. Like if you're gonna hold on to each other, or if you're gonna do something else, but again, a reaction at best is all you get here.
Yeah, I want to do something, but it would cost an action kind of spell. So I don't think I could react fast enough to do it.
No. All right. So still would you just grab onto Camembert's hand if you felt it?
Yes, I'm sure she would.
All right. So one of you roll with advantage. I'm gonna say it's Cam since you initiated for your strength.
Any chance while they roll that seeing this come, that the Basil will just like hulk up and become big?
So your perception rolls were so low that you do not have the time to do this.
Cool.
18 for the strength.
18 for the strength. So you are able to hang on to Elle, but you do not resist the water washing you down.
Dang.
All right, so 18 for Cam and Elle, but they get washed away. They are together. What did everyone else get?
Okay, that's good because I did not. Do you need to know what I rolled?
So I'm going with that. No, neither of you resisted as much as you held on to each other. So Cam's roll with advantage is what kept you together, but you didn't resist the wave. So wherever the wave leaves you is where the wave leaves you.
Perfect, because I rolled a nat 1.
Okay, so that is not counted. Apoc.
Apoc just feeling the rush of water, grabbed the closest thing and was probably the grass, and a nat 20, so 22.
That's some strong grass.
Yeah.
Basil.
A 7.
And Mrs. Q.
13.
Right. So Elle and Cam, you guys do not resist the wave. And you get just, it's like you fell into a raging river. You tumble around for a moment. You have no idea which way is up, which way is down, and you just get washed.
Zeppelin rules.
Yeah. Apoc, you are able to kind of plant yourself, make yourself small, grab onto the grass as best you can. And you are able to, although you do get thrown away from your camp just a smidge, you're able to kind of, be able to get up and find your way back to camp, no problem. Basil, 7 for you. You are kind of in the same boat as Elle and Cam. You try and resist, try to channel that inner strength of Gaspard, grabbing onto the grass, trying to get your sword into the ground, but you are in an uncontrolled tumble. No idea which way is up, no idea how far you landed. You come out of this wave just gasping and unable to kind of make sense of your surrounding for a bit. And Mrs. Q, you had a 15?
13.
13? You you are still pulled away. Now, as a natural hedge, you are able to kind of channel your curl up almost a little bit to help yourself stay more of like a little heavy ball and not be tossed around as much. But you are not near enough to the camp as Apoc was to be able to find your way back right away as the wave washes through you all, scatters you all across the plains to who knows where. And as the wave that came out of nowhere dissipates just as fast, almost seeming to like drop you off and then smoothly flow away as a like gentle creek before disappearing from view. All of you kind of like shake around, sputter, wipe the very salty water from your mouth as you are kind of like looking around, soaked to the bone, the grass and ground around you now just mud and completely like flattened from just the sheer force of this wave that came out of nowhere. Wringing out your hair, middle of the night, trying desperately to figure out what happened. We're gonna take a quick break there.
Oof.
All right.
And come back to that scenario.
Did you roll for Dace? Like, what would have happened to him?
Dace was fine. after you all got waylaid in the middle of the plains between between the forest of Humblewood and the Crest Mountains, seemingly out of nowhere and basically disappearing just as fast. All of you kind of absolutely scattered. You are able to take a breath after being tumbled around and landing pretty flat, gasping from the water in your eyes, your ears, your nose, like just trying to get it out of your lungs. Apoc, start with you because you are the closest one to camp. It is not going to be very hard for you to get back to your camp. However, the water has obviously put out your fire and scattered you 10 feet away. So for you, as well as for Dace, who rolled very, very high, you are able to kind of stumble your way after like 5-10 minute stint of just trying to catch your breath. No roll needed because you're so close to you. So the two of you just kind of look at each other eye to eye, soaking wet, waiting for wherever the rest of your party is.
Can I do something to try and assist?
Sure.
I would like to command my swarm to take the shape of an arrow pointing down.
Ooh.
Just trying to give like a little bit more visibility to where we were.
Okay.
There's no color or anything. I know it's really dark, but just like adding this kind of marker and like the fluttering of tiny little fleas.
So like a little like a buzz
Like
almost.
a buzz, and like it's a similar buzz that they've heard around you like the entirety that we've traveled. But maybe just like to catch a glint like in somebody's eye. Like, oh hey, that's where they are.
All right. That's excellent. That'll definitely assist.
So that's really just mage hand, a flavored mage hand.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it a lot. That'll definitely assist the rest of your party. We'll go to Mrs. Q, since you were sort of able to keep yourself upright, but just got a little overwhelmed and thrown a little bit. For you, on your own, you don't see anybody. I'm actually going to get you to roll me a d4.
Three.
Okay. So as you kind of come out of your like half curl that you were able to get in, that kind of helped weigh you down and keep you closer to the ground while the wave swept over you. Getting your bearings just a little bit more. You look around, you don't see anyone at this point. It is just you. I'm going to get you to go ahead and make a perception check. You don't have dark vision, so normally it would be a disadvantage. But with Apoc's help, I'm going to say that it doesn't give you advantage because your eyesight doesn't change. However, it will lower the DC for this. So it's not going to be as difficult, but it's still tough.
Why you rolling on two?
Because I'm at disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Ooh, good. Oh,
Nope. 6.
All right. So you start walking in a direction. It's a little tough to figure out where to go in the dark. Aren't that far away, but you don't know which direction to head.
I know what I'll do.
Unless there's something you want to do. Sorry.
Mrs. Q uses thaumaturgy to make her voice 3 times as loud and yells, Marco!
Okay.
I keep doing that and it lasts for a whole minute.
Oh my god.
Okay.
unless there's enemy.
I mean, they already
No,
sent a
exactly.
giant tidal wave, so
Okay.
All right, so
This is the
Mark-
end game here.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good idea.
Oh, it's a great idea. Make a perception check. Apoc.
Do I know the game Marco Polo in this universe?
You told me.
Yeah, probably. I know games. Nat 20 again.
Hey.
You hear Marco.
I just yell out. I told Dace to yell out as well. We just yell out, Pollo! Marco Polo in this world was a chicken.
Oh God, amazing.
I
All right. So, Mrs. Q, it'll take you a bit. Like, it's gonna take you the better part of like half an hour to find your way back. You started walking in like the wrong direction, and every so often, when you hear Apoc and Dace's response, you realize you've still gone in the wrong direction. But 30 to 45 minutes, the better part of still dripping wet, you're finally able to make it back to camp.
I just imagine it's like they're here and you're just walking in a circle.
Yeah, pretty much.
Marco.
If they didn't show up after like 5 to 10 minutes, and I guess this is for everybody, could we have done anything else?
Sure, yeah. So for
Yeah.
each person that comes back, like I will give you a chance to do something. So Mrs. Q has come back. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. So after about 15 minutes doing this Marco Polo, is there anything else you want to do
I
to
mean,
help the rest of your crew?
if nobody showed up, I would have literally like lit up the area, either in fire or in whatever. Like
Okay.
that's, I guess, what I'm.
Okay, so in that case, well, what are you setting the ground on fire?
No, I'm turning Dace and I into a giant ass like flashlight, essentially using fairy fire
Oh, that's
and just
smart.
like failing the save intentionally.
How long does fairy fire last?
It's just a minute.
Okay. So Mrs. Q, you rolled a 13. You would be close enough to see this even with your failed perception because all of a sudden there's a bright spot. Like you're a little slower, so you gotta like trudge over there, and the Marco Polo does help. So I guess you don't go around in circles after 15 minutes. But you are able to make it there.
Lovely.
Okay. Basil,
Yes.
you got tossed.
Okay.
You're quite small though. You were trying to resist, so you didn't get tossed around as much. Roll a d4 for me.
2.
So kind of getting your bearings a bit. I'm gonna get you to make a perception check again.
Oh my gosh.
Dude.
I rolled a 3.
A 3, okay.
Okay.
So as you come to, as you kind of come to and start sputtering, so we're talking like the 5 minutes after the wave, we'll deal with this light fairy fire in a second. As you come to after the wave and just are like sputtering, soaked to the bone, looking around, it's dark. You do not see anything at the moment in the first like 5 to 10 minutes after.
Okay.
You do start to hear some Marco Polos going on, but it seems like you only hear the Marco. You're quite far. And it seems like it keeps moving, which is really frustrating when you're trying to figure out where to go.
Uh-huh.
In this interim time, is there anything you would like to do?
I'm guessing I'm literally in between just tall grass right now.
The grass, like it was kind of flattened by the wave, but because it kind of tossed you off to the side is where you landed. It is still taller than you, yes.
Okay. I'm gonna. Okay, tell you what. I would like to. Maybe at this point, Sir Basil's like panicking a little bit because he has no idea where he is. He's hearing Marco somewhere. He's going to like reach for his sword, and almost in like well, none of you would see it, but essentially picture it as just like as he grabs his sword, there's like a burst of like almost like wind that emanates from him, and then all the grass that's around him is now all of a sudden cut grass. So there's like a, if he's like at the center of the circle, there's like a 5-foot circle of just cut grass around him now. And then he's gonna like jump 10 feet up in the air. Is it 10 feet or is it 15? Let me see. He's gonna jump 15 feet in the air from now this cut grass area to like look around. But I assume my perception roll is the same.
So yeah, in this immediate time, you go to jump, it's still really hard to see. But
Even with dark vision?
even with dark vision, you didn't roll at disadvantage, did you?
No.
Okay, so yeah, even with dark vision, it's pretty hard to see. You're farther than Mrs. Q was. So it's very hard to see. You kind of just pick a direction and start walking. But thanks to that idea with your jump, the second time you do so, you see 2 massive beacons of light at the precise moment that Apoc has decided him and Dace will glow for a minute. You are close enough to see that.
Okay, Sir Basil immediately, once he lands from his jump, like dashes towards the light.
It does fade before you're able to make it there. However, is there anything else that Apoc would want to do after the minute that fairy fire fades?
I mean, just like every now and then, like if it goes on for like another 10 minutes and people haven't shown up, he'd probably cast it again.
Okay.
But he can only do it 3 times, so.
Yeah, so Basil, you were quite far. You saw the first fairy fire, booked it towards it. It did fade.
Mm-hmm.
The second time you jumped, there was nothing. You kept on walking. And the third time you jumped, the fairy fire came back. So after another 10 minutes. And you were able to make it there after, about, Mrs. Q, you made it there in about 20 minutes with all of the help from Apoc. Basil, you were there in about 30-ish minutes, 30 to 40 minutes.
Oh, wow, okay.
You got tossed.
Okay.
Now we come to Cam and Elle, who got very tossed. Without trying to resist the wave at all, they got the full brunt of it and just got carried to the middle of nowhere. In those first moments after the wave, sputtering, standing up, trying to get your bearings, I am going to need a D4 roll.
Go ahead, Elle.
From one of you, yeah.
What kind of dice? I'm really tired. That's a 1.
That's a 1? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It might be good. You never know.
It's basically just to see what direction you got tossed and how far away you are. So as you kind of sputter and come to soaking wet again, all of your stuff is absolutely everywhere. I need you both to make perception checks. If you do not have dark vision, it's at disadvantage.
Fuck. 5. But I did roll a nat 20. And I don't have dark vision.
I also
Pretty confident I don't.
I think I rolled a nat 20 and I also rolled a 5. Well, it was a nat 1 plus 4, so correct.
Oh, wait. Okay, then I got a 7.
Okay. Okay, so we have a nat 1 and a 7. Cool.
It was a 1 and a 20. I loved it.
You are by far the farthest. You have no idea what direction to go in these first 5 minutes. And the only thing that you can hear when Mrs. Q is starting her Marco Polo is a very muffled version. It's almost harder to make out the direction of the sound as it is to understand what the sound says. Is there anything you guys would like to do to help yourselves get back to?
How you doing, Elle? You okay?
Elle's going to be pretty shaken. Her immediate reaction is to go to the holster she has under her wings to check and see if her book is there. I'm going to ask the DM whether or not it's there.
All of your equipment, with the exception of like your bedrolls that got tossed, they're loose equipment, which could be retrieved with a good roll in the morning or at night. So all of your loose equipment did not stay at camp. However, anything on your person stayed.
Okay. So Elle is going to be relieved that she's got this book, but Cam will see she kind of starts to tear up and realize Cordelia's gone.
Oh,
No.
I just I hug her. It's like it's okay.
She's gonna
it's okay.
cry openly.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll find it. I'm good at finding things, so don't worry. She's somewhere. Seeing that she's kind of like in shock, I'm going to try and, if I can, just use prestidigitation just to like dry out the clothes, just to warm them up.
yeah, easy enough.
And okay, I think the first thing we need to do, and trying to calm you down, is like, okay, we need to focus up. Is there anything else that you're missing besides Cornelia?
Gonna look and shake her head, still kind of crying, but
You're pretty good at finding your way, though. Think you could be a little brave and try and find us our way back?
she's gonna kind of nod again, sniff a little, and like try to pull herself back together. So I know I don't have dark vision, but this is still considered difficult terrain, correct? Now that it's more muddy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna kind of ignore it. The difficulty in finding your way back is that it's just dark. Like there's no moonlight, it's hard to see. So don't worry so much about difficult terrain in this situation, I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Hey, Al, do you think Rhea might be able to help? I know when the last time you prayed to her, you were able to get a bearing on things around here. That's something you can do.
I was gonna nod, but she's also gonna think, because in our last session, and I wrote it down somewhere, she was given a gift, I think, of bird sight. But she's wondering if that would work in the dark.
So I think it's
I think it would work, but would it be useful in the dark?
so you do have one casting of elevated sight.
Mm-hmm.
Which I believe, I don't have the spell description in front of me, but I believe it just like launches your sight up, so you essentially get a bird's eye view of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of things working in your favor here. One thing being giant glowing beacons of fairy fire from your friends.
Yep.
That you may be able to see better from an elevated sight position. And when you do that, you may have an easier time to find it. Especially because you're you.
Apparently fairy fire is just
Yeah. So this is probably, I guess we don't know if fairy fire has happened, but yeah, Elle is going to use her elevated sight.
elevated sight.
Elevated sight.
All right, give me a little flavor as to what that looks like. It's Rhea's gift that was bestowed upon you. So how does Elle kind of make that happen?
So Elle's connected to Rhea very much in more a spiritual sense than anything. So she's going to sit on the ground. I mean, I don't know if pigeons can cross their legs. She's kind of just gonna like stuff herself down into just like a smaller position. And she's gonna close her eyes at first, but as Cam is watching her, they're going to open up and be glowing bright hazel. Even in the dark, he'd be able to see this. And more in her mind, and just she'll kind of feel her body lift into this elevated sight, and it'll propel her upwards. There'll be kind of a burst of and ripple of air from her, but otherwise, and her feathers are going to kind of all stand on end as though she is in the air, but she's going to be seated on the ground. So how high does elevated sight?
So elevated sight appears 120 feet above you, and you get a full 360-degree view.
Okay.
You as Elle are blind on the ground, but you can see everything around you. It's a little bit dark at first, and then after that, time in which you have been looking for Cordelia, Cam comforting you, you casting elevated sight, you are fortunate enough to be able to see the last little blips of the fairy fire before it goes out, giving you a general direction that you need to go in. Now it's far because you did not resist the wave, but you now know where you need to go. And with a little bit of luck, you'd be able to see like the third casting of fairy fire, the second casting of fairy fire, the closer you got. But Rhea seems to have directed you at the precise moment it needed to be directed.
So Ella's gonna kind of return to her body and relay the directions and everything she saw to Cam.
Oh, awesome. See, you've got what it takes, and maybe even you can find Cornelia.
She's gonna puff up a little and just say, wait until I tell Master Wayra. She's gonna be, well, she's never proud, but she'll be pretty close to impressed.
Oh, you've already impressed me, so lead the way. Lead the way, kid.
And with Elle being Elle, now that she knows where to go, she can't get lost.
Yep.
Which I didn't realize was part of your feat until right now.
It's pretty good.
Oh.
So let's say with that assistance, you make it back the same time as Basil. And all of you are able to reconvene. Very battered, some of you still wet, but awake for one thing, in the middle of the night, in the middle of this flat plain. I would assume at this time that Apoc tried to get a fire going. Dace would have tried to get a fire going. It's a little bit hard because everything is damp. Your bedrolls are nowhere to be found. It's going to be a little bit more of an uncomfortable night, but you all made it through unscathed. Anything you would like to do before you try and go to sleep again?
Figure out what the heck just happened.
Yeah. I didn't see where it came from. Did you?
No, it just.
Yeah.
One minute we were chatting. Next thing you know, I'm all the way over there in the middle of nowhere.
What? Like, were you guys not watching?
We were. I mean,
What the fuck, Apoc?
I was. I mean, you can't put this on me. This could have happened when you were up.
You're right. I think it doesn't matter who's up. That wave was ridiculous.
Anybody hang 10? Did anybody hang 10?
No, it's like a surfer thing.
How many fingers, how many toes do you have?
4.
Okay, hang 8. I
Yeah,
guess
4 in
possible.
Would we, I assume, like, obviously this was not a natural occurrence. So like, would we know like this was clearly like a spell or something? This was like a magical wave? Like, I don't know.
So you know from looking at the map not too long ago, you are nowhere near the ocean.
Okay.
Mrs. Q, you know from living in the mountains, like glacial water and mountain runoff is fresh water.
Mhm.
So it is very unnatural. You don't need to roll for that because you know. I am going to say whoever wants to, there's a couple things you could roll here, and depending on what you roll, you're going to get some different information. So you have to choose between Arcana, Religion, or History. So go ahead and roll if you want to roll, and tell me what you have rolled, the skill you used. Anyone can do this, whoever wants to.
Okay. Arcana, religion, or history.
While the group's been talking, Ella's she's been paying attention, but also kind of looking around for Cordelia, but kind of sensing that it's a more critical moment. She's gonna suspend her search and she's gonna kind of turn back to the group. But her attention is divided right now.
That's fair.
I rolled a nat 1, so I can't do anything, even if I wanted to.
Sorry, Mrs. Q. Saltwater's weird here.
Another nat 20.
Dirty 20. It was a 19.
Okay.
That was almost 3 in a row.
Ooh.
On religion.
So dirty 20 on religion. Did anyone roll above a 17 on any of those skills?
I got an.
Oh,
yeah, I did too.
Sorry, go ahead, Elle.
Elle rolled an 18 for Arcana.
18 for Arcana.
15 plus 3, yeah.
Okay, and Cam?
19 in history.
Okay, all right. So we'll start. Mrs. Q and Basil did not roll above a 17. Okay. You got a dirty 20 in
Religion. It's the only thing Apoc's proficient in.
Okay. So with Apoc, as this discussion is going on and he's kind of thinking, you know, he might not have been the best student in school, like definitely the field trips out were far more interesting to him. But when you were learning of the Amaranth line, there was one part that got you really excited, mostly because you were told that there was a whole entire plane of existence that had mountains. And as Apoc is kind of thinking of that, he also remembers that there is a whole other plane of existence that has the gods, and a whole other plane of existence that has water and fire and air
Oh no.
and earth.
Guys, the planes are all converging.
Elle, you got an 18 in what again?
Arcana.
And Cameron's was history. So with an 18 in Arcana, you're kind of along the same lines where your knowledge of magic has kind of been like beaten into you by Master Lyra. It was not a fun time when you were learning. And although you tried your best, it was still tough. And you rely more on the instinct that you have to kind of drive your magic forward, whether or not Elle realizes it's instinct-based or not. So as you are kind of thinking about Cordelia, feeling the squishiness under your feet of water, you can't help but almost reach out to the wind for help. And although it hasn't talked to you in quite some time, you reaching out to the wind, you've been told multiple times, is in itself a form of communication with another plane. And it kind of dawns on you that if you can do that, then maybe other things in other planes can come here. And Cam, with your history check, you have been involved with just a bunch of artifacts from very different points in history. And I'll leave it up to Cam as to whether he is a textbook historian or a thing historian, but
I would think I was studying art pieces.
So with that kind of a knowledge in mind, it is not the first time that you have seen pieces from civilizations in different planes. And you know that a lot of these pieces were brought through, like there are ways to travel between the planes, like clearly because you have pieces here in Humblewood that you have seen with your own eyes from different planes of existence. So kind of where the conclusion Elle met, if things could cross willingly, then maybe there's ways to cross by accident.
I share that that knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Maybe this is what the fire's happening too.
Crossing from another plane.
Maybe.
Mrs. Q is furiously writing.
Yeah.
Seems important.
Yeah.
I love it.
If this water, if the fire were to cross from another plane, that would mean that there would have to be an entry point, a focal point where this happened. Is there some way that we could find this spot?
I wish we were paying attention last night, or
45 minutes.
45 minutes ago.
I mean, the wave did hit you, and you all traveled away in the general direction. Like, you know that the wave came from the north. That's pretty easy to surmise based on where you all were tossed. It's just whether you were tossed like to the side, or just way the hell back, pretty much. But you didn't see where it started because your perception rules were not great.
I think we should get out of this valley land, the Savannah. If it happens again.
Agreed.
What are the odds that'll happen twice in like 4 hours?
I suppose that rather depends on whether it was accidental or intentional.
Either way, I don't want to be here to find out. Should we move?
I think so.
Cool.
Mrs. Q is still like soaking wet.
Do you want to look for our stuff? Like,
I mean, I'm assuming that I had my pack, whatever was on me, like attached to me, right? Although, do we have any of our stuff?
So things that were loose, like your bedroll or, a pan that was on the fire or something like that, have been scattered. Like they've been pulled away. Things that were on your person, your armor, your weapons, like I'm going to assume that is still on your person.
Okay.
I sleep in the complete nude, so.
I was gonna say, I don't know how much of a sleep with armor on. That's pretty bad.
You can lose your armor if you want. I won't stop you.
I'm gonna summon Hugh and whisper in his ear, and he flutters away across the savannah, just kind of all around, just kind of searching, trying to like locate and ping stuff that are belonging to us to make it easier to find.
Can anybody make light?
Not only if we can, well, okay, I assume we were able to light a fire, right? So things like torches, stuff we could eventually light.
They're a little bit wet. Like Dace definitely struggled for the 45 minutes you guys had to wait to reconvene. But like he managed to get one lit.
she's still been pretty distracted, but she does hear light and she does notice that Mrs. Q is wet. So she's going to cast Gust and kind of just enough wind and it's warm to kind of dry you off a little bit.
Yay.
And when she hears light, she thinks about the fairy fire that Apoc made. She says, oh, I can help. And she's going to cast Flaming Spear. But she's going to move it up over top of us, and it sheds a bright light in a 20-foot radius. But because it's dim light, what does it say? The spear ignites flame. It sheds bright light in a 20-foot radius and dim light for additional 20 feet. So it would be about 40 feet around us if I cast it above our heads.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it says nothing about needing to be on the ground, just unoccupied space within range.
It only lasts a minute and I just have to be concentrating on it.
So it does only last a minute, but for the next minute, you guys get a pretty decent view of everything that's around you. So with Hugh's guidance, like trying to ping things, and then with this light additionally, I'd say you'd be able to retrieve some of the like heavier items, like a cast iron pan that was on the fire, like would still be pretty close by. The lighter items like your bedroll, okay, let's roll for it. Somebody roll me a d20. On a 10 or lower, you're able to find your lighter items as well. Your bedrolls, Cordelia, like things like that. On an 11 to 20, you do not find them.
Come on.
Who's rolling for the team?
Just someone roll. I heard a roll. Who was it?
Eric?
I rolled a 14.
You are not able to see in this minute, at least in 40 feet around you. You guys, like Cam and Elle, got launched very far, so the wave was huge. So in the 40 feet around you, you do not see your lighter items, but your heavier items you are able to retrieve.
Okay.
Now that there is some light as well, you can also kind of see where the wave has kind of flattened a lot of the grass and where the grass seems to still be taller. You know, you can kind of see the difference, black versus black. It doesn't look extremely far away, probably the same distance as the tree was to where you are right now. It's a little harder outside the 40-foot range, but definitely doable if you're going to go ahead and try and move. So it looks like the wave did not go across the entire plane, just your section of.
You guys are heading out? You can go look for some stuff? Oh, shit, I can't even do this because I used fairy fire. Never mind. Fuck me.
What was it you were going to try and do?
I was going to run off into the darkness and cast fairy fire on Cam. Or not fairy fire, hunter's mark on Cam.
Oh,
But I burned it.
So did you say that we didn't find our life items, or we did?
I thought you only did 2 castings of fairy fire. You did 3.
Yeah.
You were able to find your heavier items.
Right, okay.
So things like, you know, a cast iron frying pan or things like that. But your
Yeah.
sleeping bags that would have been ripped off of you and how far you got tossed and how light those items are, they got tossed a bit farther than the immediate 40 feet around camp. Like 40 feet is not a lot. You know, it's like the size of a room-ish.
So like a hiking backpack, like with all the things in, that would have gone.
I would say that would be a heavier item, so you would have been able to retrieve that. Sure.
Poor Cordelia.
Yeah, I think the only thing we did not find was Cordelia. So you've got a sad 12-year-old on your hands.
Do you want to make a perception check for Hugh?
Sure. Where'd my die go? Lost my die. All right. Yeah, big money, big money.
Can I
It's a nat 1.
Oh,
Change the dice, man.
Okay, no. So, okay, assuming he's already rolled the one die, what if, so we have this giant sphere right now of fire, which is casting light. What if Sir Basil uses his, what's it called? His pipe of endless bubbles to just mass spread bubbles out in the hopes that like the surface of the bubbles would reflect a little bit of the light, and it's just like spread throughout the field in a way of casting help, so it gives me advantage.
Wow. That's
Would that work?
Okay. I don't know if bubbles are reflective, but I like where you're going with this. I like the idea a lot. I just don't know if bubbles reflect light. You know what? They're magic bubbles. Sure. I will say that you can command this bubble into like some sort of lens. So you won't be able to spread them out over the whole field, but you can maybe make it like a lens that could kind of help a little bit in this case, because I like the whole situation of this pipe.
Cool. So roll again. Sure. Hopefully that dice is.
In that case, Camembert, I will give you advantage on this for this bubble lens-ish thing that's helpful.
I changed the die.
Give you 2.
Fuck. So 5.
Still not good enough.
Cool.
I will not allow this bubble lens to be used to like start a fire. Just as an FYI in advance, that is not something that will happen.
Cool.
Oof.
But to find a doll, sure, why not?
I mean, how badly do we want this doll? I'm serious.
Is Elle just sitting there in the field just crying?
Elle, can you?
Yeah, she's a little hysterical. Like she's aware that the efforts are happening, but she's pretty upset.
Elle, how many more of those fireballs do you have? You could do it again?
I can do one more.
Okay, maybe not right now. But what if everybody went off in a direction for 10, 15 minutes? And then Elle, if you don't find it in 10 or 15 minutes, nobody finds it in 10 or 15, you light up one of those balls and we all come back together. I mean,
she's gonna sniffle and kind of look away. Maybe she's not supposed to come back.
Like killing camel over again.
I mean, I'll leave it up to you. If you want one last shot at it.
She's gonna sniff and she's gonna look at Apoc and just, did you know that pigeons like me, we can find our way no matter where we are?
Yeah.
We can escape or we can be blindfolded, but we can always find our ways back home. So maybe Cordelia will find her way back home. She's gonna sniff a little bit more.
Oh my god.
All right. Apoc just grabs her by the wing.
Mm-hmm.
Cordelia will find her way back home.
She's gonna nod. Apoc,
Yeah?
have you lost anything before?
Apoc just kind of turns around, looks over at Cam.
My heart.
They find their way back home.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
And he like sniffles up too.
Oh, babe.
Real tears.
So do we decide to, as a group, move towards where the water came from?
Is that the same direction as we were walking anyway?
Yeah, towards the mountain.
So the wave came from true north. You were heading kind of in like a northeast east sort of direction. So it's a little out of the way. It's like this actually.
Mhm.
I think we should probably keep going the direction we were going.
My thinking is something or someone purposely somehow took water from another plane to attack us. I want to know who or what. And F it up.
We don't use that language, Basil.
Elle's gonna repeat. Yeah, F it.
Oh,
My God, we have our own kitty.
I mean, Mrs. Q is more concerned about the bandit side of things.
We just got attacked.
Yes, by something we cannot see, and it's the middle of the night.
Do we want
We
to go?
could barely find each other.
Do you want to go back to sleep after what just happened?
No, but we can probably find out. We
I kind
can.
of want to go back to sleep.
Oh, all right then.
because you did not have a long rest. Just
No.
Oh,
FYI.
that's true. That's true. That's true.
But don't let that sway your decision.
I'm not gonna be much use tomorrow if I don't sleep.
What does everyone think?
How long until dawn?
So that was about like nearing the end of your second watch. So you have maybe another, let's say like 3 hours to dawn.
Okay.
So would that be equivalent to like a short rest? Like it wouldn't be a full night's rest.
It wouldn't be a full night's rest. So people who need a long rest to get spells back would not get their spells back.
Mm.
Hmm.
Technically, everyone was resting for like a short rest kind of time. Like I would give you that, but there's no long rest to be had.
Unless we go back to sleep.
If you chose to go back to sleep now, like we could continue your long rest. That's fine. But like you did not have a full long rest yet. So any spells used during the race, for example, you don't have back. Or abilities used.
Mm.
I think it's probably best that we get our sleep.
Okay.
Okay.
Could I just like in a very quick, like disheveled 5 minutes, just try and string together some straw very, very, very poorly into like a sleeping area? Not straw, but like the grass, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, into like sleeping mats.
Yeah,
sort of
using like
situation.
the scrounge craft that I have.
Sure.
Basically, my intention is to get us to fall asleep. It's kind of like when you sleep on an inflatable mattress that has holes in it. So like you go to bed when it's full and it's nice and comfy, but when you wake up, it like fell apart.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Certainly, no problems at all. There's a lot of grass to choose from.
Yeah.
Right. Well, while everybody goes to sleep, I'm gonna stay up, and I'm gonna spend the rest of the night looking for the doll.
Oh.
Yeah, I was actually going to say this technically would have been Elle's watch. And because she's still pretty upset, I don't think she would go to sleep. Like she wasn't planning to look. She was just going to stay awake at least for her watch. So I wasn't sure because I was sleeping before. I wasn't sure if I'd get a short rest at least, but
Yeah, okay.
she's not sleeping.
So for the two of you who are staying up, I mean, you're not just sitting and watching, you are doing, which means you will not be able to complete a long rest. Short rest, yes, I'll give you a short rest, but you will not be able to complete a long rest. I will get you both to roll a Constitution save
New dice.
or exhaustion if you're staying up.
But do we get that short rest technically?
You
But
do
also
get a short
for
rest
exhaustion?
technically, but
Okay.
you still might be exhausted because you don't have a long rest.
15.
Okay.
Okay, so you're good, no exhaustion.
4.
You do take a point of exhaustion now.
Okay.
Now, for you who are going to search for the doll, with Hugh's help, Hugh will give assistance to you, Cam, as his companion. So advantage on a investigation check for you. Elle, you're gonna make an investigation check. Straight roll. Please tell me that's a good.
It's a nat 20.
Boom.
On the new die.
Nice.
It was the die.
So 24.
So it still takes. What was your roll, Elle? Just curious.
I got a 14.
So it still takes a bit. Like you still do not get your chance to sleep. However, after searching and searching, the sun's starting to come up. Hugh, basically, I'm going to say because this was Hugh's advantage, he basically like drops Cordelia right in front of you as you're about to take a step, Cam, and then lands in front of it, wings down, just looking up at you.
Oh. I tuck it into my like clothes just to like keep it safe, and I go collect Elle and bring her back to camp. Not showing her the doll yet.
As you reconvene, I would like a deception check versus your insight, Elle. You have something special for that, don't you?
So I gain advantage on a deception check. Oh, wait.
So you are making an insight versus Cam trying to deceive you that there was nothing.
Okay. Okay. I'm not sure if this would apply. So is Cam making an insight check on me or deception check on me?
Cam is making a deception check on you.
Okay.
You are making an insight on him. So I don't think your
Okay.
little feature applies in this case.
22.
No, it doesn't. Five.
Throw the dice away.
Yeah.
Rogue's gonna rogue.
Didn't find
Yeah.
Julia, unfortunately, Elle. Very sad.
Yeah, she's still pretty like she's kind of started crying again.
Hey, Elle,
Like,
remember when we
she
got
tried to be brave, but she's crying again.
remember when we got lost and we had to be brave? I think you still need to be a little bit braver to give Cornelia the time to find her way back. Can you do that?
When she hears you say find her way back, she's gonna cry a little bit harder. Did you know that pigeons can find their way home no matter what? She's not sure. She's only said this to Apoc, so she's saying it again.
All right, you might want to just tuck in and get some sleep before the sun comes up. Do what you can.
Take an inspiration for that. That was amazing.
He's gonna try talking around, but she's gonna say, I know that pigeons can find their way, but maybe if a pigeon doesn't come home, could it be maybe they're not lost, but that they just don't want to come back?
Maybe she has an adventure that she's excited to follow too, just like you.
Who's ready for that 4-episode spinoff?
Yeah, man.
Elle and Cordelia. All right, as you two are able to make it back in the early hours of the morning. Anything else anybody wanted to do before bed?
Once Elle does go to sleep, I'm going to take Cordelia. I'm going to kind of put her out in the field about like 30 or so feet away. And then when she does wake up, I'm going to use Mage Hand to have Cordelia walk back into camp.
I don't know if that's cute or creepy. as hell.
That's what I was thinking.
Sure.
This is like trauma stuff.
So as you guys did return to camp, it was supposed to be Elle and Dace's watch. Both of them fell asleep because I rolled for Dace. So Camembert, you are the only one up. It is easy enough to do. And as you wake up in the morning, still kind of in that weird in between dry and wet for those who did not dry off. With the exception of Elle and Cam, you all get your long rest. So Basil, Mrs. Q, and Apoc. God, I forgot your name for a second. And you awake to a beautiful start to the day. You can kind of start to see the grass has started to bounce back a little bit. Even more now in the light, you can see basically the perimeter of this wave. And you're getting a much better view of this savanna. Like you can see how far the tree is away from you now that you're awake. And the light that you didn't have before is definitely working in your favor. And Elle, as you wake up and search around the horizon, you see little Cordelia. I'm hoping in a cute way with Mage Hand walking back up to you. Yeah, not like this, or like
Her neck rotates around 360 degrees.
Exorcist. I'm gonna Google quick if pigeons can scream, but the closest thing that her vocal cords could do would be what erupts from her. Yeah, pigeons can do some. Oh, okay, pigeons can scream. I'll listen to that later. And she's going to make her way as quick as she can towards Cordelia and just.
Can you share that link?
I can try, yeah.
All right, so reunited, all of you, including Cordelia, are able to go ahead and start. Oh, sorry.
Elle is aware that Cordelia is not magical at all. So she can kind of sense that someone had something to do with this. So she's going to remember this forever.
Not quite sure who, but
Amber.
Amber.
Forever.
All right. So as you are all awake, eating breakfast, getting ready to start your day, the last day of the journey. Steph shared the link in towards the mountain. So anything anyone wanted to do to prepare, or do I get to have an adventure roll for our final day of travel?
I want to do one thing.
And what would that be?
Mrs. Q uses her forest magic druid craft ability to predict the weather in that location for the next 24 hours. She is unsure whether the magic would be able to tell whether we're going to have another tidal wave or not, but she's going to try. So you see like I don't know how exactly she would go about casting it. It's such a small thing. I think she would just sort of will it to happen, and it would happen in front of her, and she would be able to tell the weather based on this sensory effect.
Yeah, okay. So weather is kind of dependent on our adventure roll, so why don't you roll the adventure roll?
Okay.
Just a D20, please.
That's a 2.
We already did that one. Do a different one, please.
11?
I didn't update our thing, all right?
Did we do 11?
We did not do 11. Okay. All right. Mrs. Q gets the sense that it's going to be a very easygoing kind of day for them. For the first time, she can see the mountains without any cloud cover and a blue sky backdrop. And it looks like there won't be a cloud in sight this this entire day.
Mm.
And these mountains are massive. Now that you can finally see the top, even this far away, you have to kind of crane your neck to see. But should be easy going, Mrs. Q. That's a neat little thing. And
Excellent.
good roll. So with that knowledge, unfortunately, a tidal wave is not weather. So this is not going to be able to work for predicting a tidal wave. But you are able to get your day started. Unless there's anything else anyone wanted to do, just stop me. But moving along and starting to cross this field, you made a third of the way before you had to rest for the night, which means you were able to get a chunk done before today. It took you like 4 or 5 hours-ish to get across a third of the way. But now that you do not have to contend with the dark and the fact that the wave has flattened most of the grass in front of you, at least for the little bit, cuts down the time significantly. Your day does go by uneventfully, although all of you may seem a little bit more on edge because of this tidal wave that came out of nowhere. Basil, since you were the one asking about it last night, I want you to give me a perception check.
Okay. What is with this die? 3.
Guys.
Not good today.
We are not.
Oh.
It was on your mind all last night. Where did this wave come from? And as you kind of look towards the north, trying to, get maybe some idea, you have no idea the distance, but trying to get an idea of where this wave might have come from, like a little hard to tell because everything just looks so flat. You feel pretty confident that you can't see a portal, so maybe there wasn't a portal or whatever, but you don't see anything out of the ordinary as you make your way on.
Mm.
And so you started your day around like 8 a.m.-ish, 9 a.m. because you had to sleep a little bit longer. So by the time you get to the base of the mountains with the assistance of the wave that cut down on your travel, you reach the base of the mountain. They kind of come out of nowhere, closer to 7 p.m. 7 p.m. So early evening and you hit the base of the mountain. Now, from the map, generally where the bandits say their hideout is. And as you reach the base of the mountain, kind of like trying to figure out where you are and where you need to go to find this bandit hideout, I would like everyone to make either an investigation or a survival check.
Did we just get to the mountains or we've been traveling the mountains for a while?
You just got to like the base of the mountains where you notice like it's more rocky, less grassy kind of situation. So you're getting into more of a rock, not soil.
Okay.
I rolled an unnatural 20. Survival.
Okay. Survival.
11 to
11.
Investigation.
Mrs. Q?
5 survival, nat 1. It's like my third one tonight.
You should start rolling with your other die.
So many critical fails, guys.
Yeah.
Elle?
I rolled a 21 survival.
Jeez, okay. And Apoc?
I have a 10 for survival, but after an hour, any creatures that we're tracking, I learn the exact number, sizes, and how long ago they passed through the area based on my natural explorer in my favorite terrain.
So, I mean, you are technically tracking the bandits.
Mhm.
However, you've been tracking them for a bit, so I
Yeah.
don't know if it's fully.
If we regain their tracks, essentially.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say easy enough to do because, I mean, the Council of Alderheart does have bandits as not as hostages, as prisoners. They like tried to keep as many alive as possible, pretty much, because they are still citizens of Humblewood. And Alderheart is ruled by rules. Like Basil, with your time in Alderheart, you know that there are no, like, there would not be interrogations that become violent or go over the edge. So bandits that told of where this bandit stronghold is, told willingly, essentially. Maybe with confidence or snide that nothing was going to happen. But you also know that the council speaker had said they had sent messages to the bandit stronghold before, meaning it can't be that hard to find. And what you do find with these very good rolls is a well-traveled, kind of on the small side, dirt road that looks to be maintained, but you can only really see when you come at it from the right angle. It's not something gaping that is kind of, here, look where I am. It's still hidden enough that if you come at the mountains one way, you don't see it. But by knowing that you are looking for something, you see it. And you are able to pick up the trail through this road as what appears to be the easiest way up the mountains. As you kind of start working your way up the mountains, it's kind of like a 2x2 small cart could fit up here at best, like comfortably. 3x3, you'd be a little closer to the edge. You are getting into the like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, like spending your hour on here. I will give you that. Starting to work your way up the mountain. It's not steep to start, but it definitely does get noticeably steeper quite quick, to the point where horses might be okay, but your legs they feel the burn. And the area around you starts to change quite drastically. Where you were in the tall grass, you are now only on rock. There is more of a moss, a lichen that's clinging to the sides of the rock on either side of you. And every so often, the rock on your left or your right, depending on what curve you had taken, sort of drops away. And you realize that already you are higher than where you were. The plains kind of drop. If you were to accidentally slip, it would hurt you already an hour into your trek. And you start to notice that although the plant life is not super great here, not super lush because you are in the mountains, it is getting a little colder. Every so often you do see those really cool trees that have figured out a way to almost wrap their roots around massive boulders in order to get to the ground underneath, like where the moisture would hang out. Or trees that have actually grown through and cracked boulders in half. They're not huge, they're not massive, but they are the evergreens that you recognize. Some of them, the roots actually span across breaks in the rock where it starts on one side, ends on another side, and there's almost like a crevice in between. You kind of take a moment to marvel at the just the intricacies of it as you make your way up. I would like everyone to go ahead and make perception check for me.
Just a heads up too, we don't have difficult terrain.
You don't have difficult terrain.
We don't have difficult terrain in here.
Great.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were including that, but yeah, we all.
I mean, a cart can make it up here.
Mm-hmm.
So you are still on a trodden path. However, it's very good to know should, I don't know, something happen.
Yeah. While traveling an hour, your difficult terrain doesn't slow your group's travel. Your group can't become lost except by magical means, and you remain alert to danger even when you're engaged in other activity. That's the general thing.
So 2 of you can't get lost.
14.
13.
6.
Also 6.
10.
What was the highest? 14?
14. Jeez.
Bad night, guys. I'm gonna roll for Dace.
Yeah, perception has not been my role.
Well, Dace rolled well. As you're walking just past the hour mark, you didn't make it very far up, but it is kind of deceiving. You are on a bandit road, just as an FYI. You're all kind of like looking down at the ground for a second. Apoc is probably looking up at the mountains, sort of focused on the road ahead, sort of taking in your surroundings. You all almost comically like bump into Dace as he has stopped in front of you. Just kind of points, maybe 20 feet ahead of you.
How does he
The
point?
route moved. The route moved.
Does it just look like rocks?
What was your perception check?
13.
I mean, there are trees every so often, and the roots have been exposed to weather, so it's kind of like a gray browny thing. It doesn't look like a rock. You can see roots, but you don't quite see a moving root. What did you say, Cam? Before?
Oh, how does he point? Because I just expect, I anticipate that he like points by like flexing. Or like
Yeah.
Johnny Bravo.
It's right.
Johnny Bravo's. Yeah, there you go. Classic Days.
Yeah.
Can I use something? Because I've been meaning to use it as soon as we got in here.
Yeah.
After we got hit by the plane of water. I have an ability called Primeval Awareness.
Okay.
So I spend a spell slot and I can sense whether any aberrations, celestial, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, or undead are within 6 miles of us. I don't get to know where they are or how many, but
6 miles.
yeah, it's
Okay.
not 1 mile, it's 6 miles because it's my favorite terrain.
All right. You don't get to know
Where or
specific-
how many?
You just know yes or no.
What they are.
And
yeah.
what? Okay. Let me just pull it up because now I gotta see what's going on here.
Yeah. Basically, the thing I'm trying to clue in on, I guess, is elementals would be like the main one. Like, is there a water elemental or something that did that to us or caused that, or something that might have escaped if the plane of water had entered this world?
You put out your primeval awareness. 6 miles. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's 6 miles.
Sorry.
I know what 6 miles is like. You don't get a ping
Okay.
for any of those creatures.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, you don't get a ping for those creatures.
I mean, I don't share that with anyone either. It's just like my spidey sense, my elemental sense.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What is this primeval awareness? Aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiend, or undead. Yeah, no, you don't get any. You don't get any ping.
Good to know.
As you are all kind of just like sitting there, not really understanding what Dace had pointed at. Camembert, you had a 14, right?
Yeah.
You catch movement out of the corner of your eye. Just like a flick. And And before you can really process what it is that flicked towards you, you see a tendril that has kind of like thrown itself out towards you, being kind of closest to the edge of the trail.
Uh-oh.
You notice at the last moment and are able to step out of the way as this browny, gray, green root has landed just in front of you and begins to withdraw itself as this poison acid green plant seems to almost be slithering, moving its roots, sticking to the walls of this mountain and moving along, snarling, it seems, down at you with like lacerate or pointed teeth-esque, almost like a Venus flytrap. That seems to have an indication as to where you are without having any type of face or eyes or anything like that. There is like an ooze kind of dripping from between these pointed teeth, I'm going to call them. And as you finally notice what Dace was looking at down the road, now that you know what to look for, you see a second and a third start to kind of creep and move along. Another bit of movement farther down. You can't quite make out how many. But as you finally realize that on this narrow mountain road, there seems to be these living plant creature things that just tried to attack you. We will pick up next time.
Woo! Okay.
Don't know.